Welcome back. I'm a little bit sad that the last session was so short because, I mean, didn't you just enjoy listening to Stuart and Phil about how that guy, he turned that business so thriving? We're going to talk to another person that has also done something that is really amazing, Simon Cooper, Solar Press. Great to see you.
Yeah, great to see you as well. Yeah, once again.
Yeah, we met each other just a few weeks ago
Exactly.
in Lucerne at Hong Kong Innovation Days. I mean,
Yep.
we get around, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got to travel a bit.
Ian Bendy from Excel printing machines. Are you allowed to get into shows with new equipment, or is it only second-hand equipment?
Generally, we're allowed to come in. Yeah.
Generally, okay.
Generally, it's okay, Morten. Yeah.
Fantastic. You guys are working together. I thought that one of the sharpest online printing companies in the world probably only needed the newest and the latest technology. So maybe you can talk a little bit about how you are working with Ian.
Yeah, well, I think the story goes back probably all the way to COVID, which is one of the previous times that we spoke. And we took the decision at that point to move into inkjet production. We were thinking about a couple of presses at that time. But the plans were made just pre-COVID. COVID then hit. We decided to move ahead with one press. And then probably kept ourselves a little tight on capacity, a little too tight, because we were never too sure when the recovery was going to come.
Was that, sorry to interrupt, was that because I remember when we spoke just at the beginning of the COVID, you invested in, it was both in a T-series, but you also invested in some Indigo equipment, right?
Yeah.
Was that replacing the iGens you had, or was it along with iGens?
Yeah, it was replacing iGens at that point. Yeah.
Okay, and you also had, was it like 2 or 3 B2 presses, right?
Yeah, so we had, at that point, we had 2 Indigo 10Ks.
Yeah.
Since then, we've added a 100K, so we have one of those. We have 2 Indigo 7800s. We also have a Konica C14000 press, and the T-Series, the T250 inkjet press.
And so when we talk about the relationship with Ian, was that basically when you said that you thought that you were running out of capacity, that you got rid of the B2 offset machines?
I can explain it quite well, actually. Okay. So we'd always planned to put in 2 T250s, but obviously, as you probably now know, HP started developing the A2200, and so the conversation shifted to, do you really want the T250, or should we be looking at this new technology? So we became pretty obvious that we were going to need more capacity at a time when the A2200 wasn't ready to ship, and we started considering, right, what do we really need? And at that point, we had 3 XL75 10-color presses, Heidelberg, and also an SM74 5-color. And for us, it's been an obvious natural next move to get into B1 offset production. We have a lot of volume. We produce gridded work, ganged, aggregated work.
Yeah, because I was just about to say that, I mean, one of the formulas of being a successful offset, like an online printing company, is to gang all the jobs, especially when you don't have variable data, or especially when you don't need the digital, right?
That's it. Yeah, exactly right. And so we kind of pivoted our plans to say, let's move into B1 offset, sell two of the smaller B2 litho presses, so one of the XL75s and the SM74. But then, like everything, we're not very patient, and we knew that we needed the capacity pretty much straight away.
So did you know Ian in advance, or?
We'd had several meetings. I knew. But
you knew each other commercially before you had that requirement, or?
Yeah, commercially we certainly had a relationship. We'd spoken, but I'm not sure that we'd done.
No, we hadn't done any business, but I had previously done some business with Solar Press, and so when Simon came in,
so you knew each other basically. As a company,
we had a couple of meetings, and we had contact, and he was looking at lots of different options. But back in those days, there wasn't a specific requirement for a press.
So this was like you had like one press in mind that you just needed.
We knew that we were looking for a B1 10-color, basically. We spoke to Heidelberg, and the lead time for getting a new press wasn't going to fit with us. And we were, I would say, fairly terrified, because we could see what happens with us is, as the year goes on, our volume, it starts off quite low, Jan, Feb, quite busy in March, April, May, and then it starts to peter off, and in August we're normally quite quiet, but the step up from August to September is about 40%. And we could see
that's
that
steep, but basically, right, yeah.
And we could see volumes were coming back online, kind of post-COVID. We're having a lot of success with the brand, growing the business quite successfully, and we knew we didn't have enough capacity. So I was looking at lots of different options. Some of them were outsourcing options, talking to partners with the potential of giving them some volume and so on. not my preferred route forward. I want to be in control. And also one of the things we do, our tagline is print delivered tomorrow. So 60% of the orders that come in today with a 12 p.m. cutoff will be dispatched today to arrive with customers the next day.
So 60% of that?
Yeah. So that's quite tough if you're working with a partner, and there's, so lots of challenges. And so that's where Ian came into the fray, and I must say I was very surprised that you were able to come up with the press that you were able to come up with.
So just before we go onto this, Ian, maybe you can just explain a little bit more in details about what you do and your company, right?
Yeah, I'm UK Sales Director for Excel Printing Machinery, and basically we're supplying used equipment, predominantly presses, a little bit of finishing as well. I joined the company really when at the time probably 90% of the work was export, turnover was export.
So buying in the UK and exporting second-hand machines to other markets.
Which is still a big part of the company, but I came in specifically to grow the UK market for us and to source and buy from the UK market, but also resell into the UK market.
Okay. And how, I mean, in a market that everybody's talking about is decreasing when it comes to for example, offset presses, is it easy to find the right machines? We're going to talk specifically about the challenge with Simon in a second, but I mean, generally speaking, is it easy or difficult to get what you want?
I would say that it's neither. It's never easy. It's never easy. Sometimes you've got the right machine for the right customer and it all just fits. And I've got to say that that's how it worked with Solo. At the time, Simon said that we're looking for a B1, must be a late specification, fully automated 10-colour.
So when you say late specification, that is one of the more recent models, basically?
Oh yeah, the machine that we sold Simon was at the time was only 4 years old.
Okay.
So it's very unusual for that age machine to come into the market. But this one was a special machine because not only was it 4 years old, it had Drooper 20 upgrades.
Really? Okay.
So it was all but a brand new specification machine.
Okay. So when you, just before we talk again, I just want to learn a little bit, because I mean, when you go and export a majority of what you buy from the UK market, that basically means that you have a lot of machines leaving the UK. Are you also involved in what they buy afterwards, or is it typical companies that goes out of business, or is it a mix?
No, generally. I mean, there is that element to our business, but generally I like to be sort of selling a press to a customer and taking his old machine out and then exporting.
So that is basically when we spoke about it in the break here a little bit about the updates and upgrades policies, that is basically what you do as well. So if you have let's say that you have a 10, 15 years old machine and maybe not really ready to buy a brand new machine, then you have something that you can basically replace the market with.
Yeah, but we will also buy for stocks. I mean, with Simon's case, I sourced the machine for him, but I mean, generally speaking, we'll be buying machines cold for stock, and so we'll be able to sell from our own.
So you can refurbish them and make sure that you have everything under control, basically, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Simon, when you realized that you had that need for an increased capacity, I mean, you said you almost panicked. I mean, you're part of a European group. Of course, Brexit has made it more difficult, but would that have been an option, or was the timing too difficult? Or?
I think the big challenge we have is that realistically, the quickest we could get goods produced in Germany and reliably delivered with customers in the UK is 3 to 4 days.
Yeah. And expensive for sending it also, right?
A little bit with the shipping costs, and then there's the risk around customs and so on, and the potential delays. You know, our business is built on our reputation, so customers have come to rely on us. And if I could only send goods, realistically, we have 3 options on our website. So it's either you order today and get them tomorrow, or you get them in 3 days, or you get them in 5 days. So really, it's only that slowest lead time that would give me the option to source from our plant in Neustadt in Germany. And realistically, that wasn't going to solve the problem for us. So it was part of the thinking, but it wouldn't have really solved the problem. We needed more capacity here.
And I take that since, as you said, Ian, since it was a newer machine and with the latest upgrades to it, as you say, they are not often in the market, so new and probably also with a relatively, because I mean, you called Heidelberg because you wanted a new machine. You couldn't get it, but you probably got maybe the second best, right? Because
honestly, it's phenomenal, and the job that the team have done, that Ian's team have done, you know, respraying it and getting it looking like new, made it look and feel like new, but also the performance in it is I mean, it's comparable to the latest presses that they're shipping. It's got Impress 3. It's you know, we don't feel like we've missed out. We're making ready in 70 sheets. You know, so there's really no. It doesn't feel like we've missed out.
So going. I mean, you invested a lot in digital technology, and you also realized that you still needed to have a B offset press, B1 offset press. It must have been a little bit of a journey, because I mean, it is a lot of changes going on in a relatively short time, right?
Yeah, it has been an interesting journey. We had to take on a new site, so that's always fun.
On top.
So we, you know, we had to source a site, renovate, you know, get ourselves in there, dig the foundations, and we were trying to do this at breakneck speed, because we knew we needed the capacity in the year that we'd made the decision. And we started the year off thinking it was going to be this digital investment and so on, as I said at the beginning. So things had to pivot and change quite quickly, and it was pretty frantic trying to get things ready. But I think we made it happen. You know, there were times discussing with the MD at Excel where I was trying to defy the laws of physics to kind of somehow make this thing happen quicker than was possible.
And we spoke about Elon Musk in the past session, so maybe we are in the elevated business, right?
I was trying desperately. I thought if I just believed it could happen, somehow everyone would just magically make it happen when I needed it. And we got close. Not perfect, but we were close, very close.
Very near.
And for both of you, I mean, this relationship, it seems that you're both very pleased with it. So does that bring hope for you, Ian, also that this is just a starting point of a relationship?
Well, you would like to think so. I mean, obviously, you know, we put one really, really good press in. Simon's very pleased with the service that he received.
So he gets the service from you, or the service in the acquisition, you mean?
Well, for the installation.
For the installation,
and the way the whole press was installed reliably, pretty much on time. Machine is cleaned, painted, warranted. It's a very good service that we provide.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Sorry, that is the curse of being a host, that you sometimes you have to look at your timing just to be sure.
At inopportune moment.
Sorry. And I was just like, okay, he stopped. Okay, damn it. But I'm back with you, Ian. So of course, it makes sense that you want to, of course, build on that relationship. And from your side, Simon, I don't know if you save money when it's such a new machine, but
we definitely save money.
Okay,
so that's a nice part of it as well. Yeah.
So you got pretty much what you wanted. You got it a little bit cheaper. You found a partner that really delivered. I mean, that sounds like the formula for buying more from Ian and from Excel, right?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I wouldn't ever rule it out. You know, I think we always just need to look at what's needed at the time and what's available at the time. So. You know, it has been a good experience. The press was the right investment for us. It was the right press at the right time, so everything worked. We definitely see ourselves continuing to invest in more offset in the future, so that, you know, there's no concern there. The business is growing strongly and so on. So yeah, I wouldn't say that we're absolutely determined to buy only second hand. I think, but if it fits,
but it's a mix basically, because I mean your business is depending on having the right technology available at the time you need it. Right?
Exactly.
Otherwise, you cannot grow, and that is, I take that is the same for you. I mean, if you don't have the machines, you cannot grow your business. So you always have to have a finger out everywhere to understand what's going on in the market, right? Yeah. If we look at the market in general, Ian, is the market? I mean, I think we had post-COVID, there was like a little bit optimism until the Ukrainian war. And with the, I don't know how much it affected in the UK, but in mainland Europe, I mean, the inflation and the energy prices has just like grown like hell.
Same here. Yeah.
Does that mean that also if you look at the printing industry here in the UK, it opens up for more opportunities for maybe second-hand machines, or how do you see that?
I would say at the moment that most of the printing industry that I can see at the moment, since, like you said, the Ukraine war and energy costs, people are really sitting tight at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is in general, so that has nothing to do whether it's new or second-hand machines?
Yeah, I can't speak for new, but for what I see in the second-hand market, yes. I don't see myself or other dealers particularly putting a lot of presses into the UK this year.
Okay. Is it a very competitive market, the used machine market?
It can be, yeah. I mean, there's a good few dealers set up similar to ourselves, and when machines are available, everybody wants it. Yeah, I would say that in terms of putting machines back into the UK, Excel are probably doing more than anybody else the last few years, especially later model, high-end presses. Yeah. We've put I wouldn't give you an exact figure, but we've put a lot in, and you see most of the other dealers are happy to export.
Yeah.
So.
And is it because it's easier? Because I think some of the emerging market, they don't even look at new machines, right? I mean, I spoke to a guy from China operating a printing company, and he said, we cannot make a business model, a business case that justifies the prices of brand new machines. So I just think that that's the opportunity of having maybe 1-2 generations old machines, even for the growth market.
As we touched on earlier, I think if you've got a machine that is of a high specification and it's that 4 or 5 years old, I wouldn't say that you're going to get exactly all of the figures you'd get from a new one, but you're not going to be 10% away. You're going to be probably 3-4% in terms of production difference, but you're going to be in probably around about 35-40% in savings.
Yeah.
Is that
Yes,
much?
yes.
Oh, wow, that's a
So
huge saving.
It's a serious return on investment.
Yeah, and I don't know how it's in the UK, but I think I remember from some numbers that I saw from, I think it was from Scandinavia, that, I mean, maybe not for the online printers, but for the, let's say, the more conventional commercial printers, that some of them are only utilizing the machines in the, let's say, 20, 30, 40% of the capacities, right? And in that case, I mean, the speed is not really something that is the major concern, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that also what you see in the market here, that some printing companies are utilizing the machines on a very low number? Like maybe 1-2 shifts instead of having 3 shifts, or?
Yeah, I would say that's fairly common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically that means that it should open up for machines that have, let's say, the right quality, but maybe not as automated.
Yeah, they don't need the absolute fuller range of automation. Yeah, there'd be companies whose machines who would need that type of machine.
Yeah. And in your case, I mean, I guess that a thriving company, and you were a little bit afraid of not having the capacity. Now you got the capacity. Can you see that? I mean, of course, it stretches the capacity the moment you have it, but what now? I mean, do you still see a growth where you will need more technology soon in order to accommodate the demand?
I think we're certainly okay this year, but yeah, we will need to invest further. We're growing pretty quickly. This year so far, we're 28% up year on year, so
really?
the growth is coming in fairly thick and fast. We're much more efficient. We're running 24/6 on that press already. To your point about certain businesses only running certain shifts and so on, we're pretty much loading it up, but it's a hungry press, and so it takes a lot of volume.
Yeah. Also going to the B1 compared to the B2.
Exactly.
I mean,
and we're getting really efficient in that plant. The operators, some of them have come from B1 backgrounds, but none of them would have been running an XL press with that kind of specification. So it's taken a little bit of time to get used to, but now we're seeing really good performance coming out of that plant. And so we can imagine putting in another 8-color B1 in the not too distant future. Not this year, but
but sooner or later. Anyway. And when you look at the growth, I guess that you analyze both the customers and the market carefully. Yeah. Is that like taking competitors from competitors, or is it also a kind of a growing demand from maybe new segments in the market, or difficult to say?
It's a good question. I don't think that overall demand is growing. I would imagine that we're probably finding that some smaller printers are finding it perhaps more challenging and are now, maybe after COVID, not turning their presses back on and utilising.
So that is the market that you probably expect to be getting, basically, right?
I think that's part of what contributes to our growth. You know, no doubt maybe there's a bit of customers deciding which supplier they want to work with, so there must be a little bit of that. You know, it's a competitive environment. But I think probably the bigger part of it is, as I say, those companies that have decided it doesn't make sense for them to produce. We've spoken to conventional offline printers that have said to us, you're selling the printed goods, the printed product, cheaper than I can buy the paper for. You know, so, and sometimes they say that quite skeptically, but we're actually fairly profitable. So it's clearly not that we're not making money out of it. No. We're selling at very competitive rates.
Why should you operate a business where you don't make money? Right?
No, exactly. But I think sometimes the traditional players in the past have been quite skeptical of bigger volume players like us, and have perhaps had the view that we're selling at a rate that we can't make a profit out of. The reality is we can. It's just that our volume enables us to buy much more competitively. And so now I think more of those printers are recognising they can work with us And that's why we've launched this brand we call Solo Pro, and it's all about us working with other printers and resellers to give them.
Is that like a white label solution kind of?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what our service is anyway, but this is more really dedicated to supporting
print brokers and agents,
so we can do we can do discounted pricing. We have dedicated account management. We prioritize the work for those customers through the business. So obviously the conventional Solo Press brand, if you like, is dealing with more kind of small businesses, end users, but the Solo Pro brand is all about those resellers and printers that would rather partner with us.
That leads me actually to the question, because when I look at when I asked you about whether you saw taking market shares from competitors or it was a growing market, I think that one of the things I have looked into with kind of interesting is that if you look at, let's say, photo books, if you look of very short runs, like even from postcards, posters, business cards, all these kind of things, it seems that this, I was just about to say, the Vista print effect, like we talk about the Amazon effect, is now like really getting into that. People, even just for birthday, they order 25 personalized birthday cards, or they have a photo book that they order from maybe more occasions than they did in the past. And I was just thinking that with all the digital capabilities you have, I mean, you have now, you can produce way more things that you could do when you only had the B2 presses, so to speak, right?
No, that's true, but we're not going into those real consumer markets. I think that's
so it is more like smaller businesses then, or
ours is mostly dealing with with small businesses, but also now brands, and we've just launched books on our website, so we're dealing with publishers a little bit more, and that's something that was enabled through the T-Series investment.
Of course,
so
because you got some, was it a Hunkler and also some Horizon equipment for doing books, right?
Correct. Yeah. We got the BQ 500 with the inline 3-knife trimmer and so on.
Yeah, fantastic. Ian, you mentioned in your introduction that you also sell a little bit of finishing equipment. Is that what kind of finishing equipment do you sell?
Yeah, probably not the specialist stuff, more what the general commercial printers using, so folders, stitchers, guillotines, that type of thing. But by far away, presses are our main business. If you look at the future of your company where you work, because I think you said to me yesterday evening that most of your sales is, of course, like in analog world, offset presses. Do you do any digital at all? Not at the moment.
Okay.
No.
I mean, in the future, with more and more digital equipment in the market, is that something that you foresee?
Well, I think at the moment, for us to get involved with digital equipment, you have to have a relationship with the main supplier. Yeah. Because of the software side of things.
Special inks and all these kind of things.
And I think at that, if my position there would be, I'd be more of an agent for the main supplier rather than an independent dealer.
And it's of course important for you to be independent,
we're an independent company, and we can buy and sell off our own base. Really. We don't really want to be an agent for a bigger company. No,
because that will give you limitations, of course. Time flies by, gentlemen. We have a few questions. Are you ready for that?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a great one here. Ian, do you offer any other services than sales?
Well, engineering services, so spare parts, servicing, machine moves, other than just selling. We just did a project for a large customer of ours. They wanted to refurbish an older press. So they have in-house engineers who split the machine. They didn't have the equipment to go and lift the machine. So we went over, we picked the machine up, we brought it back to Excel. It was then fully cleaned. Side guards were painted, all the walk boards were all powder coated, and then we re-delivered it back to the customer. So, that's the type of work.
I hope the weight was the same, so the fundament was still okay, right? And it seems that you are a popular gentleman. Gary is asking, do you offer warranties on used machines?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
How big is your company? How many people works in the UK?
Approximately 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you do a warranty, is that always based on that you have put your hands on the machine? And
things have changed really. A dealer used to offer a warranty, Morten, and he'd have a margin in there, and he would hope that nothing went wrong to take away the warranty margin that he'd put into the deal. We work in a different way now. We work with a company called Print Insure.
So you basically outsource the insurance issue, basically.
Which is better for the customer and better for us, because nobody's taking a risk. The customer doesn't have a risk, the dealer doesn't have a risk, and we've got a good policy in place that will cover any sort of.
And I guess that it also requires a very, let's say, great trustworthy relationship with the insurance company, because they will need to know that
they
you deliver
do know
good
us
quality.
very
right?
well, and when we install a press, all issues are dealt with by Excel, and then once the machine is commissioned, that's when the policy kicks in.
Last question is from Helen. She's asking, when you bought, and that I think is maybe to you, but when you bought your latest Heidelberg 106, it took you into B1 printing. Why was that advantageous for you, and also why did you buy a second-hand press? We have answered a little bit to it, but maybe you can answer the thing about the B1 format.
Yeah, so as we said earlier, we're doing a lot of grid work. So the way our business works is by aggregating a lot of volume and then producing grids to be really efficient and pass on low costs to our customers. So we were doing that on B2 grids. When you get to a certain volume, you can just fill up a B1 grid, and then you have basically the same labor input, but in this case, probably 2.5 times the yield, because the press runs at 18,000, not 15,000, and you're getting double the planning efficiency. Your waste is massively reduced and so on. So basically, we just end up being able to pass on better costs to our customers or make a little bit of a better margin for the business, which is quite nice.
You smile, so I guess it's nice. Yeah, I was also thinking that when you have the T series, I mean, basically it is a B2 machine cut size sheet. So basically, will you then utilize the same binding equipment for the B1, just half the sheets, or did you buy new binding for that as well?
We haven't at the moment. So at the moment, we already had the full size guillotine, so that was fine.
So you had full size even though you didn't have the full size.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think what we'll do next year, we've just taken on a little bit more space in the same unit that we'd put the B1 press. And so I think the future for us will be getting some B1 section folding machines in there, and we'll move our Muller, and then we'll be able to do, at the moment we're still producing all the section work B2 and putting it through the Muller. So in the future I think we'll do that B1, and that'll just be more efficiency again. So
that leads me to a little question that is a little bit more personal curiosity, because I mean when we look at the inkjet cut sheet market right now, there's like a lot of discussions whether it should be B1 or B2. What is your opinion about that? Not that I'm asking you to buy anything, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when you look at the B1, I'd much rather do things continuous feed, right? So, for instance, the only B1 cut sheet press is the Lander, right? So if I compare the Lander to a continuous feed press where you have one media at a time, for me, I'd rather be producing on a continuous feed inkjet press and then converting from reels than printing on flat sheets. I think when you get to B2 cut sheet devices, and there you have the B2 and the B3, obviously with the iX press coming in from Canon, you know, what you get there is some flexibility, so you can move between substrates much more quickly and more easily. And so we definitely still have a place in our business for that very flexible either B2 or B3 digital device. But when we get into our volume, which is I think where the Lander press is really targeting, if it's talking to a commercial printer, my preference at this moment in time is the continuous feed inkjet.
But I think that the reason why people are talking at all about having cut sheet in any whatever size is basically because they need the media diversity. And I take it that in a company like yours, I think you can probably manage it, right? Because well, you can have one day will code it and another day will uncode it, right?
The new site that we opened up for the XL 106 press, we have 4 media types in there.
Okay.
Only. 130, 170, 200, 250. Nothing else.
Okay.
All silk, all the same size. Yeah. And we're just putting as much of that through that press as we possibly can every day and looking to fill it up. So,
and with even though that you limit let's say the media diversity, does that mean that you have any issues when it comes to custom demand, or you just serve that on other machines? Or?
We serve it on other machines. That's why we have the small indigos and so on, because typically the volume there is not big, and so it serves you know, that kind of. So we do have some diverse media types, craft papers and coloured papers and so on, but we would just produce those on the digital machines.
Fantastic. Yeah. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time here on the Industry Experts. I think it was great talking to you and get a little insight from people that actually have hands-on, right? So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Cheers.
This is Morten from Inkish and from Printing Expo Online. It has been a wonderful day, and you say, okay, is it already over? No, not 100%. We have a session with the 2 gentlemen that are responsible for the Printing Expo Online that you have seen today, but also for rolling this event and make sure that we could, I mean, execute it. So in just a few minutes, we actually have a presentation or no, not a presentation, a conversation with Wayne Beckett and Chris Watson. So stay tuned until see you in a few moments. So thank you.